Nityananda Travadashi. I would like to start our Chaitanya Charitamrita class with a bhajan of Nitai, glorifying Nitai. Karuna Samudra Prabhu has already sang a bhajan glorifying Nitai, so I would like to add one more song, bhajan. Haribol. Nitai mor জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি নিতাই মোর জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি নিতাই বিহানি মোর আরনাহি গতি নিতাই মোর জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি সংসারা সুখেরা মুখে তুল্লা দিয়া ছাই সংসারা সুখেরা মুখে তুল্লা দিয়া ছাই নগরে মাগিয়া খাব গাহিয়া নিতাই নিতাই মোর জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি যে দেশে নিতাই নাই সে দেশে না যাব যে দেশে নিতাই নাই সে দেশে না যাব নিতাই বিমুখ জনারা মুখ নাহিরি নিতাই বিমুখ জনারা মুখ নাহিরি নিতাই মোর জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি গঙ্গা যার পদ জালা হারা শিরে ধরে গঙ্গা যার পদ জালা হারা শিরে ধরে হেন নিতাই না ভজিয়া দুঃখ প্রেম রে হেন নিতাই না ভজিয়া দুঃখ প্রেম নিতাই মোর জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি লোচন বলে আমার নিতাই যে বানাহি মানে লোচন বলে আমার নিতাই যে বানাহি মানে অনল ভেজাব তারা মাঝ মুখ খানে অনল ভেজাব তারা মাঝ মুখ খা নিতাই মোর জীবনাধানা নিতাই মোরা জাতি নিতাই বিহানে আর নাহি গতি নিতাই বিহানে মোর Aranahi go নিতাই মোর জীবন ধন নিতাই মোরা জাতি নিতাই মোরা জাতি নিতাই মোরা জাতি जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय एक चक्रधाम जय एक चक्रधाम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय गौरानिताई 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 जय गौरानिताई निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल। हरे कृष्ण नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful, mesmerizing kirtan. A lot of bhava. You can start the session. Should I share the screen?
Yeah, Prabhu, you can share it.
You want me to start with the presentation or?
No, sir. Prabhu, first slokas, then presentation.
One second.
So before
48,
starting the slokas, I would like to do the Mangalacharan.
48,
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती जयपताका स्वामिनीति नामिने नमो आचार्यपदाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथाधामदाय नगरग्रमतारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदान्नाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुपयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद अजानुलंबित भुजो कनकावदातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरो कमलायताक्षौ विश्वाम्भरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ। So my slokas will be from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 2 text number 48 till 55. Prabhu, I just want to see it's not means little bit small font, Prabhu. Is it possible to bigger?
Mata, it is a normal font for me.
No, actually, I am seeing from the phone only. It's very small.
Okay. Is it better now?
Little bit more, Prabhu. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Now it's better. Yes, Prabhu. So I will read out the slokas and only one translation. The first translation I would read because our time is limited. So I will start the slokas. Krishna prema sunirmala jeno shuddha ganga jala সেই প্রেম অমৃতের সিন্ধু নির্মল সে অনুরাগে নালুকায় অন্ন দাগে শুক্ল বস্ত্রে জয়ছে মসি বিন্দু. Translation by yes, brothers. Yeah, fine. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai, jai Srila Prabhupada. Love for Lord Krishna is very pure, just like the water of the Ganges. That love is an ocean of nectar. That pure attachment to Krishna does not conceal any spot, which would appear just like a spot of ink on a white cloth. Purport: unalloyed love of Krishna is just like a big sheet of white cloth. Absence of attachment is compared to a black spot on that white cloth. Just as the black spot is prominent, so the absence of love of Godhead is prominent on the platform of pure love of Godhead. Text number 49. শুদ্ধ প্রেম সুখ সিন্ধু পাই তার এক বিন্দু সেই বিন্দু জগত ভুলায় ডুবায় কহিবার যোগ্য নয় তথাপি বাউলে কয় কহিলে বা কে বা পতি যায়. Prabhu, the next sloka. Text number 50. এই মত দিনে দিনে স্বরূপ রামানন্দ শনে নিজ ভাব করেন বিবিত বাহ্যে বিষ জ্বালা হয় ভিতরে আনন্দময় কৃষ্ণ প্রেমের অদ্ভুত চরিত. Text number 51. এই প্রেম আস্বাদন তপ্ত ইক্ষু চর্বণ মুখ জলে না যায়তে জন সেই প্রেম যার মনে তার বিক্রম সেই জানে বিষমৃতে একত্র মিলন. Text number 52. পিতাব্দীর্নবকালকূটাকুটাটা গর্ভস্য নির্বসনো নিঃসন্দেন মুদম সুধা মাধুরীমহংকার সংকোচনা প্রেমা সুন্দরী নন্দনন্দন পরা জগর্তি यस्यन्तरे ज्ञायन्ते स्फुटम् अस्य वक्र मधुरास्तेनैव विकृतन्व्या. Text number 53. যে কালে দেখে জগন্নাথ শ্রীরাম সুভদ্রা সাথ তবে জানে আইলাম কুরুক্ষেত্র সফল হইল জীবন দেখিলুম পদ্মলোচন জুড়াইল তনু মন নেত্র. Text number 54. গরুর সন্নিধনে রহি করে দর্শনে সে আনন্দের কি কহিব বলে গরুর স্তম্ভের তলে আছে এখন নিম্ন খালে সে খাল ভরিত অশ্রু জলে. Text number 55. তাহা হইতে ঘরে আসি মাটির উপরে বসি নখে করে পৃথিবী লিখন হাহা কাহা বৃন্দাবন কাহা গোপেন্দ্র নন্দন কাহা সেই বংশী বদন. Hare Krishna. So as Prabhupada has mentioned that the study of Chaitanya Charitamrita, understanding the subject matter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very difficult. Actually, it's in PhD level. So I am very insignificant fallen soul. Genuinely, I am very fallen and insignificant soul. And it's not only difficult, it's impossible for me to understand this subject matter and to glorify this subject matter. Although it's very difficult and impossible, I have accepted this seva for my own purification and for the pleasure of my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. So in this text number 48 till text number 55, we can see some ecstatic symptoms of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was residing in Nilachal, in his last 12 years of his age, he resided in Nilachal Dham, and that time he exhibited all the ecstatic symptoms in front of Sarup Damodar, his personal secretary, and Ramananda Rai. But as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, when he was writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, we know he was very old. So he thought to give some glimpse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms, which has been mentioned in Antalila, to put in the Madhya Lila. So the second chapter, Madhya Lila, chapter 2, we can see some glimpse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Antalila, we can see there it is elaborately explained all the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bhava, how he was exhibiting the bhavas. And even in the translation, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has mentioned, from the translation we can understand, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to, every day we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to visit Jagannath temple to take darshan of Lord Jagannath, Baladeva, Subhadra Mai. It's mentioned that whenever he would go and he would stand near the Garuda Stamba, and there was a ditch beneath the Garuda Stamba, and that ditch was filled with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tears. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned that his tears is like compared to the water. When the water comes out from the syringe, we can understand how the water comes out from the syringe, how forcefully it comes, right? So in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would cry profusely when he would stand near the deity of Jagannath Baladeva Subhadramaya, and that ditch beneath the Garuda Stamba was filled with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tears. And it is also even mentioned in the translation that when he would take darshan of Jagannath Baladev Subhadramaya, he would think that he is in the Kurukshetra. He exhibit those bhava. He is actually in that bhava that he is Krishna, he is in Kurukshetra, and all the Brajavasis, after long separation, we know all the Brajavasis once came to Kurukshetra to meet Krishna. So he would go in that pastime and he would think whenever he would see the deities of Jagannath Baladev Subhadramaya. And it is also mentioned that the pure love of Godhead, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would execute, that pure love of Godhead is compared to the Ganges of water. Nimnagama yatha Ganga, Deva namachyuto yatha. So among the demigods, we know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the Supreme. So whatever river we are seeing in the material world, amongst this river, Ganges is the greatest. Nimna Ganam means whichever river is flowing to this material world, amongst this river, the Ganges is greatest. That's why the pure love of Godhead is compared to the river Ganges. And the pure love of Godhead is actually like whenever we chew the hot sugar cane, that time what happens, our full mouth inside it burns, but even though it burns, we can't avoid the taste because it's very tasty. So like that, the love of Godhead, whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was exhibiting in his Antalila, the symptoms, the Ashtashvatrika Bikar was exhibited, was manifested in his body. Although from the material eyes, from our point of view, it's very painful to see, and it's very difficult to understand for us. And we think that the person who the devotees who is exhibiting those symptoms, maybe he is in the painful situation, maybe he is in the painful state. But it's not like that, because we are in bodily consciousness, and we always think in bodily consciousness only. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would roll on the ground, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would cry, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hit his head on the wall of the Garuda, of the that place where he used to stay. There the blood would flow from his head. So from our point of view, it is very hurtful. But from him, because although it is very hurtful, but he is not in the bodily consciousness. We have to understand the devotee who are in the bhava stage, who are in the prema stage, they are not in the bodily consciousness. So for them, whatever happens with the body, they don't bother actually. So now I will try to explain very briefly actually. I don't have, as I told, I don't have any realization. And whatever I heard from Maharajas, from other Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Guru, I would like to start a presentation. From that, slowly, gradually, we will understand how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was exhibiting the bhava stage, and his bhava was in the extreme level. So that one, the symptoms of Ashtasatvika bhava, that I will explain very briefly. So in the first slide, we can see the bhava. The bhava is again divided into the 5 things, 5 categories of bhava. One is Vaibhava, Anubhava, Satviki bhava, Vyabhichari bhava, and Sthayi bhava. So Vaibhava, Anubhava, that part I'm not going. I'm directly starting the Satviki bhava, because if I start explaining all the terms, so it will be not, because our time is limited. It's not possible to explain all the things. So I will I choose the topic today, Satviki bhava, because would exit during his stay Arunachal Dham. So now we will have the definition of Sthayi Bhava. What is Satviki Bhava? What is Satviki Bhava actually? Involuntary reactions that results from heightened affection for Krishna. That is called Satviki Bhava. Over religion directly causes involuntary physical symptoms such as what is clearly mentioned here, that the Satviki Bhava are those bhavas which manifests automatically. For us, sometimes we need to do some activities whenever we are in bhava state. We need to do some. Is it breaking, Prabhu, the voice?
In between it was breaking, Mataji. Now it is fine. Continue.
No, it's fine.
In between it was breaking.
So it's okay, Prabhu. So in the Satviki Bhava, like it is involuntary. That means when that Satvika Bhava exhibits, when a person exhibits that Bhava, that person, he is not purposefully exhibiting those symptoms actually. It is automatically it comes in our body. So all the symptoms which we see in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body, it would manifest automatically. So that is called the Satviki Bhava. So when our intelligence affection, the affection for Krishna is overrides the intelligence, that time that symptoms are manifest in our body. So that is called Satviki Bhava. So the second slide, Prabhu. So the Satviki Bhavas, again, there are 3 categories of Satviki Bhava. One is Snigdha Satviki Bhava, one is Digdha Satviki Bhava, another is Ruksha Satviki Bhava. So what is Snigdha Satviki Bhava? Now we will understand. This Satviki Bhava, the Snigdha Satviki Bhava, is again divided into two things. One is Mukhya, another is Gauna Satviki Bhava. So what is the difference between Snigdha Satviki Bhava and what is the difference between Gauna Satviki Bhava? Now we will try to understand. What is Mukhya Satviki Bhava and what is Gauna? That is principal and that is secondary one. Gauna is secondary. When the emotions arises from direct mellow. For example, Radha, whose teeth were whiter than the kunda flower, while making an excellent garland of kunda flowers, for Mukunda, heard the sweet song of the flute. She became stunned. So here we can understand Mukha Satviki Bhava means the Satviki Bhava which arises from the direct mellow. So we know there are primary five rasas, that Sakya, Dasya, Madhurya, all that, the five primary rasas. So when the symptoms arises from the five primary rasa actually, that is called Mukhya Satviki Bhava. And what is Gauna Satviki Bhava? When the emotions arises from secondary mellow. We know there are seven secondary mellow. There is Adbhuta Rasa, that Bhaya Rasa, so all that. So when the Satviki Bhava arises in a devotee's body through the secondary mellows, that is called Gauna Satviki Bhava. The example is given here in Mukha Satviki Bhava. We can see the last line, she became stunned. Stunned is the symptoms of Satviki Bhava. So that Satviki Bhava happened. How? Because Radharani is in direct relation with Krishna. She is in conjugal love with Krishna. So it is direct mellow. So the stunned which was manifested in her body, that is due to the direct mellow with Krishna. So that's why it is called Mukha Satvika Bhava. And Gona Satvika Bhava example, when Krishna, the rain cloud for the Chataka bird of her eyes, was brought to Mathura, Yashoda, turning red face in anger, began to scold Nanda Maharaja in a choked voice. So the example of Yashoda, from the example of Yashoda, we can understand. When Krishna was brought to Mathura, so that time we know all the Brajavasis, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, all were in great pain of separation from Krishna. So when Krishna was brought to Mathura, then Mother Yashoda, she became very angry. And what she did, because of that, her face turned into anger and she started to scold Nanda Maharaja in choked voice. So the symptoms which manifested in Yashoda's body during that time was choked voice. And that choked voice is the symptom of Satviki Bhava, and which is caused due to secondary rasa. That is anger, which is caused due to anger. We know anger is a secondary rasa. So due to that secondary rasa, anger, Yashoda, the choked of voice was manifested in Yashoda's body. So that's why it is called Gauna Snigdha Satviki Bhava. Next slide, Prabhu. Now the third category which is mentioned, it is called Digdha Satviki Bhava. What is Digdha Satviki Bhava? When the heart of a person is overcome by an emotion other than the primary or secondary rati. An example, one time Yashoda, while dreaming at night, saw the huge body of Putana rolling on the ground in her house. Her body began shaking. Then, in a great agitation, she began to search for Krishna. So here we have to understand that what is Digdha. Digdha means, before we saw Snigdha and Snigdha, the last one is Digdha. So before we saw the two category which was manifested due to the primary mellow and secondary mellow. And Digdha is, it is manifested not because of primary, not because of secondary mellow. Then how it manifests actually? It manifests when some people are, while dreaming at night. So like Yashoda, when Yashoda one day she was sleeping and she saw the dream, as it given in the example. When he saw the dream, what she saw? She saw that Putana was rolling on her house. In the ground, Putana was rolling in her house. So that time her body started shaking. So shaking is the trembling, shaking. It is the symptom of Satviki Bhava. So, but this Satyaki Bhava, the shaking, it appeared. Why? Because she saw Putana. So, her relation with Putana is not in direct mellow or not in the indirect mellow, right? So, her uh, when she saw that Putana was rolling, she was very scared and she started trembling. And Putana is actually connected to Krishna. Why she is trembling? He saw Putana. But Putana is connected to Krishna. So in that way, it is called that it is also a Satviki Bhava. So it is mentioned as, the category is given as Digdha Satviki Bhava. Next one, Prabhu. Another example, we can see when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prakashananda Saraswati, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was delivering Prakashananda Saraswati. We know the Prakashananda Saraswati, he was Mayavadi, and all his sannyasis, they are also in the Mayavadi. They are also Mayavadis. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was delivering Sri Prakashananda Saraswati, that time all other sannyasis who were witnessing that situation, witnessing that thing, they what happened? Trembling and standing hairs of the sannyasis. They also started shaking, and the standing of hairs, it manifested in their body. So we can understand from this, they are not a pure devotee. They are not in the devotional succession. They are not in the bhava stage actually. But how they are getting these two symptoms, trembling and standing of hair. So these two symptoms are they are getting from sorry, Prabhu. Actually, I have to take Ruksha Satvika, right? Sorry. Actually, Prabhu, give the second one. Second slide. Yeah, okay, fine.
Mataji, Ruksha.
No, Digdha, correct. Now Ruksha.
They finished actually. You said the next
Yeah,
steps
Digdha
were
finished. Yes, now Ruksha, yeah. Yeah, I have to explain the Ruksha, then the example will start. Sorry for that. So what is Ruksha Satvika Bhava? Ruksha Satvika Bhava is sometimes the Bhava appears in a person without the real Rati. So sometimes real Rati is not there. Bhava, Rati means Bhava. We don't have the Rati, but sometimes the symptoms manifest in our body. So how it happens, we will see the first example and the second example. Like the second example I was explaining without explaining the Ruksha actually definition. The second example is I was explaining that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was delivering Prakashananda Saraswati, and they are actually Mayavadis, right? So the Mayavadi sannyasis, when they witnessed the situation, they even got that symptoms, trembling and standing of hair. So that is called Ruksha Satvika Bhava. Although they don't deserve to be in the Bhava stage, those symptoms exhibited in their body because they were directly witnessing those situation. And another example, in material example, we can take another example like a person absorbed in material enjoyment may develop hair standing on end after being excited by songs concerning the pastimes of Madhava. So what does it mean? It means we see sometimes we go to yatra or we associate with some devotees who are in the bhava stage, or sometimes whenever we listen some kirtan, some devotees who are doing very blissful kirtan, and whenever we sit beside them and we listen, we just a glimpse of that bhava is transferred to our body. Sometimes we cry for maybe it's actually really it's temporary, but sometimes it happens with us. We cry. So this bhava is called ruksha bhava. Although we are not in the bhava stage, but By associating with the pure devotees, we get a glimpse of this bhava that is called Ruksha Bhava. And it is also called Raktya-bhash, means the abhash of bhava. That is called Ruksha Satviki Bhava. Next one, Prabhu. So now we will try to understand the 8 bodily symptoms. It is given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the slokas. Te stambha shveda romancha swara bhedo vatha bepathu vaivarne amashru pralayati astau sadvika smritaha. So in this sloka, the 8 symptoms, Rupa Goswami has mentioned the 8 ecstatic symptoms of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the devotees who exhibit those symptoms. One is Stambha, one is Shveda, one is Romancha, one is Sharobhedo, one is Bepatu, 5th, Vaivarna, 6th, 7th one is Ashru, and 8th one is Pralaya. So how does this symptom actually manifest? In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body, we saw every time he would exhibit the 8 Ashtasatrika symptoms. So how it actually manifests, you will understand. This manifest, there may be so many causes of their manifestation. So few examples like joy, fear, anger, astonishment, sometimes it may be eagerness. So all this, due to all this reason, the symptoms, the Ashtasatrika symptoms appear in the devotee's body. So the first one is Stambha. What does it mean? Stambha, with example you will understand. When Devaki saw her son, Krishna, being attacked by wrestlers, her eyes became dry and she became paralyzed. So we know that when Krishna was brought to Mathura and he was attacked by the wrestler of Kanksha. So when Devaki saw that, her eye became dry and she became paralyzed. So the Ashtasatvika symptom, paralyzed, that is Stambha, paralysis, it happened. Why? Because Devaki was fearful. Why fearful? Because she saw that Krishna was attacked by the wrestler. So this is Stambha. Next one is Sheda. Sheda means perspiration. Example, Krishna one time put on the dress of Abhimanyu for fun. His servant Raktaka, thinking him to be Abhimanyu, called out him using impudent word. After understanding that he was actually Krishna, he became very frightened and for some time became covered with perspiration. So some example is given. Raktaka, his Krishna's servant, one of his Krishna servant. So one day Krishna put on the dress of Abhimanyu and Raktaka thought that it is Abhimanyu and Raktaka called Krishna with some impudent word. And when he saw that no, it's not Abhimanyu, it's already Krishna. So he became very frightened and uh, he was covered with perspiration. So the symptoms is perspiration. Perspiration is a symptom that is called Shveda of Ashtashatviki symptom. So the perspiration happened why? Because of fear. So next one is Romancha. Romancha means trembling of the bodies. When Arjuna saw before him the Supreme Lord in the astonishing universal form, his face dried up and the hairs of his body suddenly stood one end. It is due to fear. So Romancha, what happened? As we know in Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter, it's mentioned the Arjuna saw the universal form of Lord Krishna. So that universal form, when he saw that the demoniac form of Krishna, everything belongs to all the universes, all the demigods, everything belongs to Krishna. Everything he saw in Krishna's body, and he saw that all the Kauravas, it is before the Kurukshetra war. So he saw that all the Kauravas, all the people who joined Kauravas army, they were rushing inside the mouth of Krishna, and everything. Then and Krishna's face was full of blood. So they were rushing inside the mouth of Krishna between the two teeth. So it is given in that this description is given in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So when he saw this kind of situation and when he saw Krishna in that form, he became fearful. And because of that fearful, because he was scared, that time what happened? his face dried up and his hairs of his body suddenly stood one end. So that is another symptom of Satviki, Ashtasatvika Vikar, which happened, which was manifested due to Bhaya, fear. Next one is Shvarabheda. Shvarabheda is faltering of voice. What happens in that particular faltering of voice? Then rising very gradually and weeping the two eyes, Lord Brahma looked up at Mukunda. His head bent low and his body trembling, very humbly began with faltering words to offer praises to Lord Krishna. Astonishment. So we know that in 10th chapter, the 13th chapter, it describes about Srimad Bhagavatam 10.13 chapter, it describes about Brahma Vimohan Lila. And when Brahma understood that it's none other than Lord Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brajendra Nandan, he was in astonishment. And in astonishment, he started paying obeisances again and again to Krishna. And that particular translation is taken from that from the 13th chapter of 64 10 13.64. So what happened, he was weeping. Brahma had Brahma has forehead, right? And forehead, with the two hand he was weeping the forehead, the eyes of forehead, each head, it is mentioned in the purport. He was weeping and repeatedly he was paying obeisances to Krishna, and his head bent low and his body was trembling. So here the Shatviki Baba appeared trembling, and he was humbly began to pray with faltering voice, faltering words. So the Satviki Baba faltering words, the choked of the voice, it's also manifested in his body. So it manifested due to the astonishment. The next is Bepatu. Bepatu means trembling. Becoming unsteady with anger on hearing Shishupala criticizes Krishna, Shahadeva began to shake like a great mountain during an earthquake. So we know Shishupala criticized Krishna so many times. After that, he was killed by Krishna himself. So when Shishupala was criticizing Krishna, Shahadeva was witnessing all the things. And because of love for Krishna, Shahadeva was very angry. And because of that anger mood, he was trembling literally. And he was trembling like the earthquake. And the trembling is the symptom of Satviki Bhava. And it manifested in Shahadeva's body because of anger. Next one, Prabhu. So next one is Vaivarnam. So Prabhu, anyone can volunteer to read the Vaivarnam and Ashru? You'd like to drink a little bit water.
O Krishna, in separation from you, all the inhabitants of Raja have now turned white, such that Narada has mistaken Gokula for Svetadvipa. It is said that the change of color from grief is white and sometimes grey or black. Change of color from anger is red. From fear, the color change is black and sometimes white.
So it is mentioned Vaivarnam means the change of color. So whenever that is also one kind of Astra Sattvika symptom in the devotee's body. So what happened? Narada, O Krishna, in separation from you, all the inhabitants. So we know the Brajavasis, they were in great separation from Krishna. So due to that grief, due to that separation, all their bodily color turned into white. So Narada mistaken Gokul in like it is Shetwadip, like that he was mistaking Gokula. And also it is very notable to understand that here it is mentioned the change of color from grief, it's sometimes white, sometimes it may gray or black. From grief it is, and from anger it is red. So in material world also we see whenever someone becomes so angry, their face becomes so red. So we tell that you are so angry, that's why you became so red. मतलब गुस्सा में लाल हो गया, एक कहावत है हिंदी में. So in spiritual world also we can see change of color from anger is red, and from fear the color changes is black and sometimes white. And next one, Prabhu.
From the lotus petals, Ashru, from the lotus petal eyes of Satyabhama fell tears like drops of dew generated by angry affection.
Yeah, so here the instance is actually not mentioned. Why? What is that? What was that instance actually? So here it is mentioned that Satyabhama, due to anger, and why anger? Due to angry affection, her ashru, her eyes was flowing. The drop of tears were flowing from her eyes. So that was due to angry affection. Next slide, Prabhu. Now we will see the degrees of Bhava Bhakti, degrees of that Satviki Bhava. So again, the degrees of Bhava Bhakti are categorized in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 category. It is 3, 4, 5. Okay, it will be 5 actually. By mistake, it is there. I have written 4 categories actually. So it will be 5. So one is
Five is there,
Dhumaita.
down.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Deepta. Fifth one also there. It is on the screen. Down.
Okay,
Deep,
okay, fine.
Deepta.
Okay, yeah. So first one is Dhumaita, then Jvalita, then Deepta, then Uddipta, then Shudipta. So what does it mean? Dhumaita, it manifests slightly and can be hidden by the individual. So Dhumaita Satviki Bhava, when we saw all the symptoms now. So that symptoms, when it manifests in someone's body, some Bhava Bhakta's body. So when it manifests slightly, and sometimes for them it's possible to cover those. So that is called Dhumaita. And Jvalita, 2 or 3 sattvic bhavas appear very clearly and can be concealed by only with difficulty. So here the number of sattvic bhavas are increasing. So here it is mentioned 2 or 3 sattvic bhavas are manifesting parallelly, and it is difficult to conceal, difficult to cover. And 3, 4, or 5 sattvic bhavas appear very strongly and cannot be concealed. And now again the number has been increased. Now it is 3, 4, or 5 sattvic bhavas together, and it's in the extreme stage, and it is cannot be concealed. It's not possible to conceal. Second was it was difficult to conceal, but the third one is it is impossible to conceal. And the fourth one is 5, 6, or all sattvic bhavas manifest at the same time in their most extreme form. So again, number has been increased, 5, 6, or all. So example, O Krishna, wearing a yellow cloth. Today the inhabitants of Gokula are covered in perspiration out of separation from you. Their limbs are paralyzed and their bodily hairs are standing on end. In distress, they converse in choked voice. They have become faded in complexion due to the extreme heat of separation, and they have become wet with the profuse flow of tears. They are now repeatedly fainting out of separation. So here in this example, we can understand how many Satviki Bhavas the Brajavasis are exhibiting. One is perspiration, Shweta. The second one is paralyzed, Stambha. The third one is choked voice, which I told, faltering of voice. The fourth one is faded in complexion. That means Baivarna, due to extreme heat. The fifth one is profuse flow of tears, that is Ashru. So we can see here altogether 5, 6 Satviki Bhavas are manifested in their body. That is Uddipta Satviki Bhava. And what is Suddipta? Suddipta, all the 8 Satviki Bhavas, all the 1 minute. All the eight Sattvic bhavas manifest simultaneously with the highest possible degree of intensity. So here it is mentioned that the Sudipta Sattviki Bhava, that means all the 8 Sattviki Bhavas which we saw before some time, that Sattviki Bhava, when simultaneously at a time manifest in the highest stage in some devotee's body, it is called Shuddha Sattviki Bhava. Actually, this stage is exhibited by Radharani and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For a conditioned soul or for a bhaktas like us, who are in Bhava Bhakta event, it's not possible to exhibit the stage of Shuddhipta, because here all the symptoms of Sattvic Bhava manifest all together, and it is in the extreme stage. So it can be exhibited only by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Srimati Radharani. And as we saw that the degrees of Sattvic Bhava, it also depends on three criteria. One is duration, one is pervasiveness, another is intensity. So we can understand whenever some symptoms appear, Sattvic Bhava appears in sometimes in some bhakta's body. So we can see the duration. Sometimes it's in for short duration, sometimes it's for long duration. So depending on that, we have to understand. And second one is second criteria is pervasiveness. Pervasiveness means the Sattvic Bhava, it is there in the hand or in the leg or throughout the body. Like here it is mentioned that the 8 Sattvic Bhavas means all together, ashru, choked voice, trembling, faded of color, I mean everything, all the Sattvic Bhavas together. So that is called pervasiveness. And another is intensity. All the Sattvic Bhavas together, it is manifesting, but how intense it is. So uh, depending on these three criteria, we can understand the degree of Sattvic Bhavas, and that the Sudipta Sattvic Bhava, or it is also called as Mahabhava. So we know the Radharani is in Mahabhava, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as he came and he took the Bhava of Radharani. So he is exhibiting all those symptoms. So for today, I will conclude the class here. And these bhavas, actually, it's very difficult to understand. Even I am in bhajana kriya stage, so it's not possible to understand and even to realize these bhavas, whatever mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita or in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But as I heard, sorry, Prabhu. So it's very difficult, not only difficult, it's very impossible for me to explain all these things. But whatever I understood, little bit of this, I just thought to share with all of you. So over to Ramananda Kanai Prabhu, and my humble obeisances again to all the devotees who are assembled over here. And there are no questions from this topic because it's very Guyatama. It is very confidential subject matter. I don't have any qualification to answer the questions regarding this matter. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. As you rightly mentioned, the initial beginning of the class, the bhava is something which is very difficult to explain and understand, because we are trying to understand something which we are not in that platform. It is, for us, it is very theoretical, because we are not even Shraddha stage. Forget about bhava and prema. These are very extreme terms. But yes, we need to at least theoretically try to know the concepts and the practically see the personalities who have exhibited these symptoms of bhava. We heard from the scriptures, as Radharani and Gopis, they exhibit these symptoms, but physically we see from Chaitanya Charitamrita how Lord Chaitanya Prabhu has exhibited these symptoms. He is a kind of a in our contemporary kind of whom from whose activities we can understand what is a real bhava, because theoretically understanding these concepts is next to impossible. When we see Lord Chaitanya Prabhu's exhibiting the symptoms, and what conditions, what mood he is exhibiting, that really gives us a clear understanding of what bhava actually means. And you explained so nicely, Mataji, with examples that actually very catchy, mainly Ashtasattvic Vikara and different types of bhavas. You try to explain, and with examples that really catching, and it is stuck to our heart. Thank you so much, Madhya. Thanks for a wonderful session. Any other points to share, discuss, comment, questions to Mataji? Mataji said she's not competent, qualified, but I'm sure she is in, because the way she was explaining, I could feel, I could, because Mataji at the end of the day, she is from, she's a Dhamvasi, so she carries that mood of Dham and of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is all inherited in Mataji's qualities. Any comments, questions by devotees? And I would like to have few minutes discussion on one point. I know Mataji told me to finish by 8:45 or 9 o'clock. But just few minutes, couple of minutes, I want to take one point on the discussion. This is open for all. I want devotees to come forward and discuss on this point. We hear about this concept called bhava. Theoretically, from scriptures, we hear from various pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What do you think is the cause? There are the Shastras, there are references are given. What is the cause of bhava? What gives, how one can reach the bhava stage? What makes one to reach or exhibit these qualities? So effectively, I'm asking a question: what is the qualification or eligibility for a person to exhibit these qualities? Because exhibiting bhava should not be an artificial thing. And as Mataji was giving a different example, sometimes we may feel that a particular, when we are reading these examples, we feel that, oh, sometimes I exhibited this quality, this particular type of bhava, like some tears coming out or some hair standing. So it can be very momentary for us. So from this understanding, can someone share what is eligibility or what are the causes of bhava bhakti? Open for discussion.
Prabhu, I can answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Prabhu, bhava bhakti to one aspect is like whenever one gets the association of a bhava bhakta, then only it's possible for us to exhibit those mood. Actually, I heard this. One have to associate with the bhava bhaktas, then only it's possible to get the mercy and we can exhibit those things.
Thank you, Matu. Any others?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My understanding, Prabhuji, this one for the humbleness, one my understanding, and another one from that in the service mood. These two things is coming means that will come, I think so, Prabhuji. And one more thing, Mata is telling that association with the Bhava devotees also it is come that level. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Prabhu, can't hear your voice. Sudarshan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, can you hear Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, you can hear.
Prabhu, what happened when we have reached an asakti level? Asakti means your attachment is so grave that you cannot tolerate the vipralamba, means you cannot tolerate the get away from that one. Like we have a, so that time when you have association or vipralamba, both of time, that you will have some impact of the emotion on you, and that will give rise the bhava. So the emotional attachment when developed with the Krishna, now we are seeing most of the Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. So we cannot have that bhava. We have a bhava when we have mood we develop, that like Vrindavan mood comes, or like Gopi bhava mood comes, or the mood where they see this our dependency completely on the Krishna and so much attachment with that one, separation you cannot bear it. Then I think the bhava starts coming up in you. That comes only when you see the darshan route. That time also you can have that bhava, and we get separation from that one. To feel that it's going away from me, that time also you can have. So there's a asakti when developed. The level of asakti is increasing continuously, and then the mood of the bhava will increase. That should be a main key there.
Thank you, bro. Very nice point you shared. Others? Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Your personality and bhava. So you are.
Prabhuji, I understand the Radharani is the embodiment of the bhava. So that bhava is the Madanaksha Mahabhav. So only Mahaprabhu, Radharani, if they show mercy, then we can have this bhava. Otherwise, we cannot have, Prabhuji.
My question is, what causes one to reach that stage? How? Okay, we cannot. That's a different thing. But we can, or how we can? That is a right question. How we can? Presently, we are not in a position. But how we can reach the stage? What makes us to reach the stage? Maybe it may take millions of lifetimes. A different thing. But what makes us to reach that stage? What we are supposed to do to reach the stage of bhava? Then we can check ourselves. Are we doing the right thing or not? I'm referring to Rupa Goswami's instructions. Rupa Goswami has given a clear process of how one can reach the stage of bhava.
I think Ananga Mataji already told, if we associate with a devotee who is in bhava stage, then we can develop the symptoms gradually. So that is my understanding, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, 1 second, Prabhuji. My Prabhu is also here, so the echo is coming. Sorry, Prabhuji.
I thought your Prabhu is there, that is giving you bhava.
Sorry, Prabhu.
I thought you were saying your Prabhu is there, so that is giving you bhava for you.
No, Prabhu's audio also here, so it is both are clashing. Echo is coming to me. So, Prabhuji, my understanding is in this bhava. My understanding, like definitely we can able to achieve this one, starting with endeavoring offenseless chanting. Means we should try to minimize our offenses first. This is the practical thing. And the nectar of instructions is given by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. The each stage and each step already is given. Just we need to follow with sincere faith. See, now any senior devotee is coming. Yeah, we are going to the pilgrimage or some places. Sometimes even now, the glimpse of the bhava we are also experiencing. So only one has to hanker and one has to endeavor. Somehow we have to reach that stage. We have to hanker. Once the desire is there, then automatically Lord will give the intelligence. This is my understanding.
Thank you, Madhuri. Nice point. Hankering. We heard nice points. Hankering, association, and also in that also devotees mentioned service to Vaishnavas, listening from few devotees. Somebody said Prasadam also. Very good. Nice points. Anybody else? Radhapati Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I think the whole the instruction comes is mentioned in Sikshastakam, where accepting Mahaprabhu, to chant to chant Lord's name, and then Trinana Api Sunichena, that's the greatest secret, right? To go into that, to get the bhava, right? That's the main key to the world of bhava. Right? After that, everything happens, right? So that's, I think, the biggest secret is accepting Mahaprabhu, chanting in a humble mood, and then you'll get the bhava stage.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nice point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu,
Hare
this is
Krishna.
Brajraj Nandan Das, Prabhu. Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Very nice class, Mataji. And what I understood that how to get the bhava stage. Actually, we should start with the baby steps like Shraddha. Then we will go for Anarth Nivrati and Bhajan Kriya. Then automatically that bhava will come. And the most important point which Mataji told, that association with the devotees, those who are having bhava, automatically we will get the taste of that. Because since if we are having the association with the drunkard, then we will become drunkard. So the same way, if we will be with that kind of devotees, definitely we will get that stage. That is my understanding.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for sharing a nice point. Anybody has any other points before I conclude on this? I like to refer from Nectar of Devotion by Rupa Goswami. He has given two causes of Bhava Bhakti. That is, comes in Nectar of Devotion, rather Bhakti Rasam the Sindhu, in third wave, when Rupa Goswami is discussing about Bhava Bhakti. So there he mentions the two causes of bhava. One is sadhana abhiniveshana, means complete absorption in sadhana. It means that the 64 angas, what has been given, prescribed by Rupa Goswami, one should completely absorb in our Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Because for us to reach bhava stage, it is a kind of a dream. It is kind of but it is our goal. We cannot say, oh, Prabhu, I'm not qualified. Yes, we are not qualified, but what are we doing to get qualified? We cannot simply keep quiet and say that I'm not qualified. So we must be doing, we are expected to do something to reach the stage. So Sri Rupa Goswami has given a nice process, a nice platform. He says that complete absorption in sadhana, and he makes it a point that at the stage of nishtha. So it means that the whole other steps we need to cross with the help of all the stages. The one common point is that sadhu sangha, which Mataji also nicely clarified. So with the help of devotees, sadhu sangha, we need to completely absorb in our sadhana. So it means that the Vaidhi sadhana, as we start doing, eventually we have to go to the stage of like a spontaneous devotional service. We are doing one with the force. We reach to the stage of spontaneous devotional service, and then with the help of sadhu sangha, we continue to travel, and finally we reach the stage of after anartha nivritti and everything takes place. The first point is sadhana abhiniveshana. This is complete absorption in sadhana. So we get perfected in our sadhana and finally reach to the stage of it. Second point he mentioned is that Krishna tad bhaktayo prasada, means Krishna tad bhaktayo, mercy of Krishna and his devotees. So this is a second cause. So even first cause should be there. As we are being perfected in the sadhana by mercy of devotees and Krishna, we'll speed up the process and we reach it. So Rupa Goswami says that the first cause is normal, the first way is a normal, second is very rare. So rare means it is not easy for one to get mercy of Krishna. So we have to completely keep absorbing, because a lot of distraction in our this one, a lot of fall downs. So we, without giving up, one continuously absorbs in sadhana. We, the help of the Krishna and Krishna devotees, one may reach. So these two stages, causes are very important. So one must completely absorb whatever activity we are doing for Krishna, absorb with complete absorption. If we start doing, then that takes us to keeps taking us to the next levels, and finally we may reach our stage. So the whole is one common point is that association with like-minded devotees and those who are in bhava stage, it is very important. Thank you very much for sharing on the points, and thank you very much, Mataji, for a wonderful class. Today was extremely important and useful to understand. Though practically we may not be in the stage, or we may not reach that stage very soon, but at least theoretically we understand the different concepts of how the and intricacies of bhava. Thank you very much for sharing, Hare Krishna. Mataji, you can please glorify Chaitanya Charitamrita and we can end the session here.
चैतन्य चरितमृत ग्रंथराज की जय, श्रीलकोट की जय, निताई गौर सत्संग प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you all the devotees.
Very much, Mataji. So next week class will be continued by His Grace Bhaktanath Mukunda Prabhu from verse 56 onwards. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much all the devotees for joining today's session. Thank you Ananga Mataji for very wonderful points. So this will end the session here. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadobhyasya kripa sindhubhesha patitanam pavanebhyo